Hey there everyone, and welcome to my craft room. My name's Julianne Richards and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in southern Tasmania. Just bear with me while I check my volume. Nothing worse than... Oh, yeah, sounds alright. Nothing worse than not being able to hear the commentary that goes along with these videos. Anyway, so today I'm recording the videos for my Fun Fold class for March. Now, when I do a Fun Fold class, I design it so that you can get your kit, which is one of the little kits here on my right, and basically pop the cards together using whatever stamps and adhesives you have at home. So I'm not dictating what stamp you use for your sentiment. In fact, you can use any sentiment that you have in your craft room. So basically I'm giving you a lot of fun fold cards for these classes, hence it's called a fun fold class, and I highlight the great designer series papers, the lovely patterns that Stampin' Up! Offer. There's a little bit of fussy cutting in this one, and some punch work that I've already done for you as well with the daisies in a later card. I'm going to try and get all three cards into the one video, and I'm sort of really testing out my kit for this as well, just to make sure I've included all the components that you actually need. So once I start doing orders, I'll know that I've done the whole lot. So in your kit, as I say, you have all the cardstock embellishments that you need to make the cards. It's all cut and scored. All you need is your own glue, double-sided tape, dimensionals or foam squares, whatever it is you use, and as I say, your favourite sentiment and some black ink. So that's basically all you need. Everything else is in this card. There are other videos. I've done each of these folds before, maybe with different paper, but I have done each of these folds before. So if you miss something in this video, or I don't explain it in a way that works for you, please troll back through my Facebook page or my YouTube channel and you'll find something very similar in the last few months. So we'll kick off with this one, which is one of my favourite folds. It's a double Z fold, as you can see there. You can see there's two Z's there, and it features the wonderful strawberry designs from the berry blessings from the celebration just gone. I've called this class a fun fold class, but it's actually highlighting the papers that you would have or could have scored as freebies during the last celebration. But again, you could use any paper with these designs. Once you've got them down pat, you can use any paper that you like to create these cards. Anyway, so it's a double Z, as I said. It's got a smaller Z inside, and the theme of the paper and the strawberries goes all the way through. These little elements here, the strawberries and the flowers and the leaves, have all been fussy cut, and so I've given you a piece of cardstock in your kit with these designs in them, and all you'll have to do is fussy cut them out to add them to your design. You know, there might be 3 strawberries and 4 flowers or something, so just work your way around whatever I have given you. It sort of depends on the availability of the paper. So we'll get started with this one. I'll put all the measurements in the comments for the class, so and you want to come back and make them again later, they'll be there for you. So they might not be there straight away, but they will be there eventually. So we're starting here with Poppy Parade, which is one of my favourite colours in the current catalogue. This is going to make a 5" by 5" square card, so hence the big envelope that you should have. So you're starting with a 10" by 5" piece of cardstock, and it's been scored at 2.5 and 5 inches to give us that first Z from our double Z fold card. You then have some Granny Apple Green, and that's been cut 1/4 inch smaller than the 5 by 5, so that'd be 4 3/4 square. And then you've got a piece of the wonderful designer series paper, which is another 1/8 inch smaller than that, so that would be 4 5/8 square there. Anyway, as I say, the measurements will be in the comments. So you've got those there, and they're obviously going to go on this big facing surface here. You've also got two thinner pieces of granny apple green. One of them's obviously going to go on that surface there, and the other one's going to pop onto the front. Then you've got the corresponding pieces of designer series paper. So one for the front there, and this one I'm going to flip it over just for a bit of interest. Not use the strawberry side. I'm going to use the really pretty strawberry pip side on the other side, and that's going to go on there. So we might just assemble that now, and we'll see if I can believe my own publicity when I say you only need your own adhesives and stamps. Okay, so let's pop this all together. You may, subject on how successful this class goes, you may find that you get different papers and cardstocks with these. I'll swap to the other just as pretty patterns and the corresponding designer series papers as these particular ones sell out. As I say, with Celebration, these papers may not be back around to order more, so I will be using all of them from the pack, you know, if the class is as popular as I hope. But the instructions and measurements will be exactly the same. Okay, so we've got that there. That's the back panel of our card. Then we might pop that one on there. Okay. And then that one on the front. See how the battery of my phone and my iPad go as to whether I can do all these videos all at once. I may have to go away and charge in between, but we'll see how we go. We'll pop this one in there. So this one is with the pip side up, and we'll pop that one just in that middle panel. So that's actually the one that's sort of partially hidden and the card's open like that, or closed like that. And then on the strawberry side for this front one, make sure you get your strawberries the right way up so that they hang, sort of appear to hang down. If you've got one of the other papers, it may not matter that much because the patterns are under at both directions. Ooh. There we are. Okay, so that's our big Z done there. We'll pop that aside for the second. We'll bring back our little Z. Now this one is a 7.5 by 3 1/4 piece of cardstock, and I've scored it at 2.5 and 5. And to create this one, you've got, now wait a minute, I've got to put it the right way. It's going to sit on our Z just like that. If you can see that, try and visualize that. So these are the panels that we're going to decorate. Okay, so pop on our granny apple green, or our contrast colour, we could call it that if you've got something different in your kit. So you've got 3 panels of this one, which should fit with the same 1/4 inch, or 1/8 of an inch all around border. Just like that. Then you've got 1 panel of designer series paper. We're going to pop that on the middle panel, and then Whisper White on the front and the back, or the first and the third. Just like that. There we are. Just some people walking by with their dog there. You can hear the chatter in the background. Okay, so we've got our second Z there, like that. So this is the piece of paper I was talking to you about, fussy cutting out your strawberries, etc. So with this one, you've got the 2 strawberries there. I've actually got most of a 3rd strawberry there, a couple of leaves, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 flowers. So we might just cut those out. Thankfully the shapes aren't that difficult, so you can run your scissors around pretty quickly. So if you have the strawberry bundle, sweet strawberry bundle, you could stamp and punch out your own strawberries here. But with this, as I say, with these classes, I don't assume that you have the same stamp sets, and don't expect you to buy the same stamp sets as I use. So you can, that's why I've provided the paper that you can cut your strawberries out. But as I say, if you have a strawberry bundle of any sort, please don't hesitate to use that instead. Whatever you have at hand. Sorry, I moved away from my microphone a little bit then, so forgive me. Just when you're fussy cutting, you have to hold your tongue just right. I'm going to fussy cut these. I may cheat a little bit when it comes to the flowers and leaves, and if you've got the punch at home, you can do the same, but I'll bring it in a second. If you haven't got the punch, just keep on cutting. There's not too much there, but I'm going to grab my punch. If I can find it. Here it is. So the good thing about this particular punch and this particular paper is that you can actually fit, and if you're careful not to cut out at the same time something that you're going to need later, you can actually use it to cut out the shapes that you might want. So there's a little flower there I want. So what you can do, if you're going to overlap something like there, I couldn't punch there because I'll punch that flower plus I'll also punch that flower. So you can actually just cut the paper down to a smaller size and pop it through that way. Just trim it away until you can get only the image that you're interested in the punch. This is just a little bit quicker than you sitting there watching me do it all from scratch. Maybe a little bit easier. It could just be that I take twice as long working out what orientation to bring things in at, which wouldn't be quicker at all, would it really? It might not be quicker. I'm going to have to muck around with these to get them into yeah. We might cut out the leaves and then we can punch the strawberries with the flowers. Done a few cards with fussy cutting lately, so I'm getting, if not good, I'm getting quick anyway. Just one more leaf. I think that's all that's there. Actually, you should have at least a couple of leaves and 4 or 5 flowers and at least 2 strawberries in your kit. As I say, if you have the strawberry bundle, sweet strawberry bundle from the current mini catalogue, you can always cut your own there. That one. Now, see if I can bring that punch in without fear of ruining anything. I don't want that other strawberry because it's actually more of a pink strawberry than a red strawberry, and I don't think it'll go very well with the paper that I've chosen. But I do want that little pink flower. One, two, three, four. And the last little flower there. I'll just get rid of these bits that we don't want. Okay, so we've got a couple of strawberries, some leaves and some flowers there from the paper. What we might do now is actually assemble the rest of the card, put the two Z's together. So to do that, you sort of have to sort of sample fold them, if that makes sense. Sort of work out roughly where you want it. So this little central Z, you need it to make sure it's sort of central, and you just take note of where it attaches to the back, and you can add some glue. And the good thing with Stampin' Up! Glue is that it'll give you a bit of wriggle room. You then also want to add, we might do this bit first. So just pop it centrally, close it down, and then you can move it a little bit until it cures, just so it's in the right spot. That looks about right. It's quite a thick card because we have all the layers of paper and cardstock and everything there, so yeah, it's pretty substantial and quite solid. Okay, so this front one, we're just going to, as you can see, all we need glue is on this leading edge here. So we'll just pop a little bit of glue there and firm that down onto the front. And that means that our two Z's are perfectly aligned and the card will close over nicely in its envelope. Okay, so there we have that. So now we're going to decorate with our strawberries and things. I'm going to bring in the two strawberries that I cut out here. I'm going to pop those on dimensionals, sort of in that sort of configuration. First of all, I might stamp, if I can, I should have probably stamped out a sentiment before I got too carried away with the attaching. But I'm just going to use the the Happy Birthday from Here's a Card, which is one of my favourite stamp set sentiment sets. It's just got sentiments, which is it's a good purchase for general card making. Means you don't have to have too many sets lying around. Just going to pop that on the front towards the bottom, over towards the left hand side slightly. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to bring in our dimensionals, our strawberries and some dimensionals. So I'm just going to pop each strawberry up onto a large dimensional. So I'm going so well so far, aren't I? I haven't had to bring anything else extra in. So the kit's pretty good so far. Just going to pop the small one down there. You could use a couple more dimensionals if you want to make it extra secure, but for this I'm just going to use one on each and put him up here. And then just bring a couple of little flowers in, just with glue. I think in my original card there's flowers on here because I made some smudges, so I probably don't need to put the same flowers in the same spot, so I can wing it a bit. Just pop it up there. Okay, that's quite cute. I'm going to bring some rhinestones into it as well. So on this middle panel here, I'm going to pop my two leaves, or two of my leaves. Just down here in the corner, forming a little corner spread. And pop a couple of little flowers just where they meet there, just where they cross over. I wouldn't put dimensionals on these because they're going to get crushed in the centre when the card closes over. There we are. And just on the last one, I'm just going to pop a little flower and a little leaf in the corner. Might as well use everything that you've got. So if you've got more or less or whatever, you should have more. Hopefully you haven't got less, or if I'm doing my job properly. Just a little bit of glue on the back there and there. So we've got our strawberry flowers. I must say I've never seen a blue strawberry flower, but hey, I haven't seen that many strawberry flowers. And then I'm going to bring in another sentiment just to pop on that inside there. And I'm going to use again from the Here's a Card. Thank you for being my friend. And thank you for purchasing my class. There we are. And that one, as they say in the classics, is finished. Pop the glue away. Okay, so that kit was pretty good. Gave you everything you needed to make that particular card. Here's our second one. Oh, and it's given you even more than that, because I should have also given you some rhinestones. Just some little basic gems, just for the front there. Might pop one in the centre of that little flower, and another in the centre of that little flower, and then the third one. If you've got extra, I know I've probably only given you 3 for this particular card, but if you've got more and you want to add more, go for it. There we are, just adds a little bit of bling to that. Okay, so that one's done. As I say, pretty good. Gave myself everything I needed to create that particular card. So there's the one we've made today. There's the original. As I say, yours may be different depending on how popular the class is. It may have different paper and different cardstock, but fundamentally it's going to be a double Z, and it's going to feature the strawberry paper from the celebration that's just finished. So there we are. That's card number 1. Let's see how I can going straight to the second card. I wonder how my battery's going up there. Anyway, we'll keep going until we run out. Okay, the second card we'll do is this beauty here, which they call a triple cube pop-up card, because it's got 1, 2, 3 cubes, although one of them's more like a tall rectangular prism, I suppose, but it's got 3 cubes, and it's when you open it, you get this cute little pop-up sentiment in the middle here. So, and when it closes down this way to form like a 4x4 card, or if you've got a bigger envelope you want to take advantage of, you can fold it down this way and have it as a 4x6. I've made a boo-boo with my original in that I let these leaves, or these 3 particular leaves, overhang too much, so they would be crushed in an envelope. So when we do this one, I'm going to make sure I keep those leaves within the line of the card and not poking out too far. They look really good when the card's open like that. So if you don't mind upgrading to a bigger envelope, to say a 5x7 envelope, you could actually keep those in those sorts of positions. But if you're restricted in the size of your envelope, keep them within the line. Okay, so here's our kit for this little one. Should look something like that. Lots of squares and lots of cutting and a bit of scoring in this one. Well, I've done that for you, but yeah, just so you know, you've got all the panels. Let's have a little look. Okay, so this here is Rococo Rose. Is the base colour, It's a really lovely in colour, so it's one of the current in colours, which means it won't be here forever unless they adopt it into the permanent catalogue. So it's really, really nice. It's a soft pink, sort of smoky pink. Okay, so first of all, you've got this tall cylinder here, which obviously there's a little tab there that we're going to actually glue. Now, when you glue these, I suggest you glue, normally your first instinct would be to glue the tab on the inside. With these, I suggest you glue your tab on the outside, and you'll see soon why I suggest that. It just makes the inside neater, and as the inside is actually quite a feature of these cards, I suggest it's probably a good thing to do. Okay, so we're just going to run a very fine, I'm just going to glue these so they'll stick and stay. Oh, look at that. After me saying do it on the outside, I've done it inside, I've done it on the outside. There you go. Bad thing with doing all these videos at the same time, I can't just stop myself and start again, can I? Now, tell myself what I'm doing. Okay, I'm putting the glue on the inside panel so it'll stick to the outside. Okay, so just line the score from the little tab up with the edge of the edge of the cardstock there, and just give it a bit of a sample fold and bring, I've dropped one now, and bring your bond folder in just to firm it down. Hopefully that won't stick where it's not supposed to stick. Stop sticking. Okay, so as much as I made a bit of a meal of that, just pick up the one I dropped. That's your tall cube there, just like that. Hopefully, now I've got sticky fingers. Hopefully the other two won't be quite as difficult. Okay, same deal with these other two cubes. Oh, by the way, they are 2-inch wide cubes, these ones, and this is a 4-inch high. But each edge of the square is 2 inches. So that's a 8 1/4 piece of cardstock scored at 2, 4 and 6. 2, 4, 6 and 8 to form the cube. Okay, I'm going to pop it on here this time, see if that's any better. You wouldn't think I used to make cube or box cards all the time. My cube making abilities have gone downhill. Okay, just let that one dry, and then we'll do the same. That worked okay. Just putting it on the very edge of the card and push them together. Here we are, and we'll let that one dry as well. So we've got our 3 cubes there already made. We might now take our black cardstock. So you should have 12 pieces of black cardstock cut into cubes, and you should also have 12 pieces of designer series paper. The one we're highlighting this time is the ombre, the So Ombre designer series paper from the last celebration as well. So if I've given you a Rococo Rose cube, make sure you keep your Rococo Rose side up as much as this other side, I think, is Bermuda Bay. It's lovely. We're not using it, so you've got to use the one that matches the rest of your cube. So we might layer all these up. You should end up with, in the end, 12 little squares with 2 layers each. A bit fiddly. And it moved on me. Come on, you, stay straight. So you've got some that are just the plain colour, sort of graduates from dark to light across there. You've got some with the little circles on there. So it should be half and half. You should have 6 plain and 6 circly. Okay, this is a fairly slow process. Maybe I'll get my editor to speed us through this bit. Halfway, now we're on the dots. The glue's coming out a bit gluggy. I think that's why I'm having problems keeping it where it's supposed to be. Nearly there. Three to go. Okay, last one. Phew. Okay, oh, now I've got glue on my face. Okay, so there are our 12 little squares. So we'll bring back the structure of our card here, and I'll show you how to attach these. So where we've got the rim of where the tab was that we glued is going to be the back of our card. So if you orient it on your table with that away from you, you'll see that these are the front facing sides. So these are the sides we're going to be decorating. Okay, so same with your little cubes, this side here with the tab is going to be, you can either have it at the top back or the bottom back, so they're going to be, so that's going to be hard up against your tall cube, and then the same with this one, it's going to be towards there as well. So you're covering those little tabs over or having them hidden at the back, whichever you prefer. So now you can see the surfaces that we're going to, hopefully you can see, the surfaces that we're going to actually decorate. The two fronts at the top and the front and up facing surfaces of the two little cubes. So to get that right, so the front facing surfaces of the tall cube and the front and up facing surfaces of the smaller cubes. So it's obviously that faces up, we're going to decorate it. That faces forward, we're going to decorate it. Inside, the ground faces up, so we're going to decorate it. And the back wall, I suppose, faces forward, so we're going to decorate that as well. So hopefully that makes sense. So I might actually start doing it. So what you've got to decide is, do you want your spotty panels on the outside or your plain panels on the outside? So as you can see with the one that I made as my sample, I've got my spotty panels, my spotty designer series paper on all the outside surfaces, and I've got the plain ombre on the inside, and that's the way I think I'm going to do this one as well. Okay, so let's get that. I'm not attaching my squares yet to my taller tower, and you'll see why in a moment. I just want to get all these little panels in place. And I apologise if that means you probably have to visualise things a little bit and think ahead a little bit, but I suggest you probably watch this whole part of the video at least through before you start, so you'll see where I'm headed and what the end result looks like and why I'm doing things in a certain order. So I'm popping those two, as I say, on the front facing top panel, so with our seam at the back. I've got so much glue on there it's actually going to stick to itself, so I might keep it apart while I can. There we are. So there's the top of our tower there. So then again I'm going to pop these ones, the remaining four, I'm going to pop it on the top of the cube, and if we go by our rule, also on the front of the cube. So frontward facing and upward facing. Here we are. Now, and the same on this one over here, on the upward facing and frontward facing. Now, as I say, all of these cards have videos that I've made in the last probably 4 or 5 months. So if you're finding my explanation a bit tricky in this one and you want a longer sort of video, or where I take it a bit slower maybe, or just differently, just pop back and see if you can find the previous video. I think this one, the triple box, was actually a Christmas one, so that's probably a good couple of months ago, maybe even 3 or 4, with the poinsettias. It was a red one. Okay, so there are the front and frontwards and upwards facing surfaces of our cube with our dotty paper. So basically now we're going to do the other ones with our plain paper, and so that's going to be the sort of opposite sides of the inside of our cube, so opposite to where we've put the dotty paper. So the back left and the back right. Sorry there. Got a bit into the camera there and a bit out of screen. So we've got the, I'll bring that in so you can see. So we've got the front 2 facings and the back 2 facings. So we've got our plain ones inside. So you can see that there. If I bring it into the right angle, just like that. Okay, so front and back. Okay, so we'll do the same with these. So we've got, we'll get the right way around. That's the back, that's the top, and that's the front. So in this one we're going to do the ground and the back wall. So again, it's exactly the same as we did with this one. It's the opposite sides on the inside. So we've done the top and the front, so this time we're going to do the bottom and the back. The underlying logic, I suppose, if there is such a thing with this, is that you are just covering the surfaces that when you look at the card, when it's on display, all the surfaces you can see easily, without picking it up and moving it around, of course, have got the designer series paper panel on them. So if you keep that in mind, try and visualize the end result, you shouldn't go wrong. And if you do, hey, it's the joy of handmade. There's always some little foible. like your glue not coming out. Okay. Here we are. Now, you're probably screaming at me, when are you going to attach it to the tower? And I'm going to very, very soon. There's one very important thing to do before you do that, and it makes the rest of this a lot easier if you do it at this stage rather than later on. And that's why you've got these two little Rococo Rose circles just here. So you should have two of these. What I want you to do is grab them and fold them in half. Just straight down the centre, two sides of the circle together, and score it with your fingers, just so you've got two little V's, two little circular V's. Do it to that one, and then do it to this one. And these are what are going to support that sneaky little sentiment that's inside the card. So what I want you to do now is grab your two little cubes, and the panel that you've decided is the back panel, so this back one here, I want you to grab your little V and glue it into the centre of that, just so that the seam of your little V is running in line with the edge of your cube. So you just want to pop some glue on the half of the little circle, like that. Line it up with the edge of your little box and just give it a chance to set a little bit in place, just so it doesn't move. So same distance top it up and down, and lining that seam or the little score mark on your circle with the edge of your box. So when you look at it that way, you've got that inside. You look at it that way, you've got that. This is the surface here that we're going to eventually attach our sentiment box to. Okay, so we're going to do the same with this one. Just pop a little bit of glue on the back of your circle. This glue is deciding to have a not very nice time with me. A little bit of glue on the back of your on half of your circle. A little bit of glue, she says. Choose which way it goes. So that's your back. This panel here is the back. So this one you need to be on the, so this one's on your right hand side. So this one has to be on the left hand side of your back, if that makes sense, just so that they kiss each other in the middle when the card is finished. We're just going to do the same distance top and bottom, lining up your score in your circle with the edge of your cube. Okay, there we are. So we've got, when you bring them together like this, you've got the two circles kissing each other in the gap, if that makes sense. How's that? That makes sense. Watch that a few times if you need to. Scroll back and make sure you get that right, because that is how we're going to attach our little secret hidden away sentiment eventually. Okay, so at this time now we can attach these to our tower cube. That's what you want to call it. Make sure now that you get everything after we've set it up so carefully. Make sure you get it all lined up in the right orientation. Line that edge up so the edge of your little cubes lines up with the edge of your tower, just like that. And then we'll bring this one in as well. There we are. So that's looking pretty good. Okay, so there you can see we've got our triple cube already, just like that. Oh, except my glue hasn't stuck. There we are. And we might let that just dry a little bit, and we'll prepare our little daisies and come back to it when it's dry. So as you can see, you've got your two little circles kissing in the middle. Now the reason I suggested to put those on first, you could actually put them on now. It's just really, really difficult to get your hands in there when you're gluing. It's going to be difficult. It can be a little bit fiddly to get it on, to get our sentiment box on, but to try and get those on from the first couple I made, it was pretty tricky to get in there. So basically that's why I suggest you pop them on first. If you can't get the hang of putting them on first, by all means try to put them on now. If you can do it, you've obviously got better fine motor skills than me, which isn't really saying anything really if you knew me. Okay, so let's pop our little daisies together. You've got 6 pieces of daisy, which are going to make 3 daisies because they're sort of double layered. What I'm going to do first of all is bring in my bone folder, or you can use a knife or an edge of scissors if you're very careful, and just curl the leaves of your daisies just a tiny touch, like you do when you're doing curling ribbon. Probably not as forceful as that because the daisies are quite delicate down where they meet the centre of the flower. You just want a slight curl just to make them look a little bit more natural. You can leave them straight if you want, of course. And if you have some glue, some nice coloured ink, you can also give them a little sponging as well, just to give them a little bit of a natural look as well. Just sponge them slightly on the edges. If you have the Daisy Lane stamp set, you could probably stamp yourself and punch yourself a whole set with the lovely Rococo Rose colour. Maybe would be really, really nice with this. Okay, so we're going to grab our glue again. I'm going to put the lid on it, but grab our glue again. As much as it's misbehaving, we'll stick with it. And we're just going to pop a tiny bit of glue on the back. This glue is really making me angry. Doesn't know what tiny means. Tiny bit of glue there, and then you've got some little circles. You should have 3 little circles in So Saffron, and you pop 1 in each daisy. I have to check my battery soon, see how I'm going. Okay, so there. And our little daisy centre. So much glue, it's stuck to my grid paper. Definitely going to have to wipe off my hands here. Might take a break and come back and do the third one when I've cleaned up a bit. There we are. So, as gluey as they are, you've got 3 little flowers there. Okay, we'll let them dry as well. We might stamp our sentiment boxes now. You should have 6 little leaves in Old Olive as well, an Old Olive cardstock. So we've got 2 sentiments that we want to create here. The little round circle, we need to go with something a little bit smaller. What did I use? Hello there. It's as simple as it gets. You can use whatever you've got that's nice and little. So the little circle's going to have hello there. And again, I'm going to bring in my thank you for being my friend, which I think is one of my favourites. Thank you for being my friend, and that's going to be our sneaky little secret sentiment in the middle. There we are. Now, what are we going to do now? We might actually, just to put us out of our misery, we might actually attach our sentiment on the inside in there. As I say, it can be quite tricky. What I suggest you do is hold the card open with one hand and pop some glue on the front facing surfaces of those two little half circles that we created. Then what you can do is bring your sentiment in and line it up. So the good thing with this particular sentiment is it has a fairly easily determined middle point. So you can tell like where it's at the thickest is the center of the sentiment, so to speak. So you can actually line that up with your two circles, give it a little bit of a fiddle till it's straight, and then the glue will attach itself to the behind, so to speak. Sounds a bit rude. Make sure it's straight before it cures. Okay, so you see there, if I turn it around, you've got the little circle glued to the back of this. In theory, probably moved it. I jiggled it a bit too soon. Bring it in there and attach it. I might put it in place to where I'm happy with it, and then close the card down so that it's got time to cure. There we are. So we close the card down, you can firm it into place so that it attaches properly to those two little semicircles. Okay, so there we are. Making sure it doesn't attach to the box underneath, which would be bad. There we are. Okay, so there is our little secret sentiment inside there. It's gone a little bit low. There we are. Okay, so there we are. That's a little bit fiddly, as I said. It's much easier with those circles already in place, but that's how it looks on the inside. So when your friend opens the card up, they go, "Oh, thank you for being my friend. Isn't that nice? Thank you for my beautiful card." Okay, so there we are. We might let that dry for a bit. Again, letting it dry so that it sticks in place. Okay, that seems to be attached. Alright, so when we're bringing our little daisies and our little circle, it's basically pretty easy from now on. You've got we've got 4 front facing surfaces, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to put daisies on 3 of them and then the little round sentiment on the 4th. So we'll pick our sentiment first, pop that on there. I'm going to pop that onto the front facing top right, just like that. So you could, if that worries you that there's not 4 daisies, you could put another sentiment and reduce it to 2. Depends if you're like a numbers person, or you could, if you've got the set, you could make yourself a 4th daisy and not worry about putting that sentiment on there. Depends what you like. I was forcing myself away from my obsession with symmetry when I did this one. And I'm going to pop our 4 daisies on the remaining 3 frontward facing surfaces. Just really not liking you, glue. You're just annoying me. Might change glues once I've finished here. This one must have a really big hole that's coming out in the glugs. Okay, so we've got our 3 daisies there. Oh, bless me. I sneeze. Okay, so we've got our 3 daisies, and now we're going to pop on our leaves. So as I said when we talked before, if you're going to pop it into an envelope like this, make sure your leaves do not overlap the edges of your card too much, or it won't fit in your envelope, or you have to upgrade your envelope to something a bit bigger. So them. You can be pretty comfortable with the inside ones. Just like that. There we are. It's only overlapping a little bit, and I think I've got enough room there with my envelope that it won't be too much of a problem. As I say, I can always upgrade to a bigger envelope for the sake of this. Those leaves just really do make it something special too. It's pretty plain without them. Okay. There we are. And the last two. There we are. Okay, isn't that sweet? It's really, really nice. That seems to well and truly have attached on the inside there, so I'm happy with that. Okay, last thing you should have in your set are some rhinestones. What have I given here? Seven rhinestones. So we can put those all around. I think probably about 3 on this rather plain sentiment circle, and then we can put maybe 2, and then what have we got? 5. I might, yeah, and we can pop them around our daisies as well. There we are. So you just pop them all around just for a little bit of a highlight. There we go. Okay, that is a fun fold. That takes fun fold to a whole new level, that one. So we've got there, that's our pretty triple cube pop-up card. I hope you like that one. A little bit fiddly. As I said, watch the video all the way through before you start, and then you're going to know where you're headed. So when it comes to popping it in an envelope, as I say, you can fold it up for a sort of 4x4 if you've got an envelope maker at home, maybe 4.5 by 4.5, or pop it down like this, and you should, if I haven't popped, yep, no, we've gone well here, you should then get it into a standard A6 envelope just like that. Okay, so that is card number 2 of our fun fold class. It was pretty fiddly, wasn't it, that one? Yeah. Anyway, so I hope you like that one. There's our new one, and here is our original sample. So they're both pretty much exactly the same, down to the sentiments and everything. There you go. So card number 2. I'm just going to check my phone to make sure I've got enough power. Yep, I think I do. Let's plough on, shall we? Let's plough on to card number 3. So this is the last one of this class. There's three cards in this class. This is a very popular one of late, is the open book easel card. And for this one I'm using the Pierced Blooms dies, which are absolutely lovely. They're quite unusual. I'd call them almost sort of what do they call it? Sort of innocent, or sort of primitive in their design, because they're sort of what you'd expect like a kinder student or a preschool student to sort of draw, these wild flowers. But they are really, really nice, and the stitching or the little piercing makes them pretty special as well. So that's really, really nice. I like that one. So this card is this kit here, and as I say, you should have everything you need, or I've just realised I haven't popped one of the panels through the embossing folder, so I may have to do that, but yours will be done, don't worry. It's just I haven't popped this kit together this morning in a bit of a rush. Okay, so you've got all these beautiful flowers. I've given you just an assortment of flowers. It's going to be up to you how you decorate your final result. If you use them all, that's great. If you don't, you might be able to use them next time on something different. You should be able to use most of them and layer them up for this card. So what we have is an 8-inch long and 5.5-inch wide piece of cardstock, and it's been scored at 2 inches and 4 inches, and that sort of forms the sort of easel part of our card. And then we've got various other bits and bobs. We've got the paper and cardstock that make up the pages of our book. We'll get to that in a minute, plus various other panels that we're using to decorate our easel. So this is in Night of Navy, this dark one, and the light one is Seaside Spray, which I've been using a lot of lately with the seashells that I've been doing. And I'm going to swap glues because that one is annoying me. Let's see if I can find one that's less annoying. That one's new. I don't want to open that one. Let's try you. Okay, so I'm just going to layer up. We've got these are 1 7/8 of an inch by about 5 3/8, I think. Yep, and they just fit in the panels of your easel. So okay, so holding your easel card with the folds away from you, we're going to pop the decorations on the front half of this base panel. Base, this is the floor, so to speak, of our easel, and then we're going to pop a piece of designer series paper. Oh, you're much nicer glue, aren't you? On there. So it's a layer of Seaside Spray and then a layer of designer series paper. So then when you close this over, we're also going to be popping it on this one here, this top panel. A little bit hard to tell when you just look at it straight, but it's there, just like that. Fold it over and it's in that one. So it's like a standard Z fold card, very similar to the one we've just created with the strawberries, but instead of looking like that, it's going to be laying on its back like that. Somebody's just come home. I wonder if it's my husband. Okay. So that's the start of that decorating. So as I say, if it was a normal Z fold card, you'd be looking at the back and the front. But in this case, it's the bottom and the top. Okay, so you might as well keep going with the easel. Here you've got the little foot, and whenever you make an easel card you need a little foot that stops it from falling forward, and in this case it's sort of a long skinny foot. So we've got a panel of Night of Navy and then another mat of Seaside Spray, and then again on top of that, same sort of routine, you're going to pop your panel of designer series paper. Okay, so that's there. That's going to be your foot. It's going to sit there. So eventually your easel will rest upon it like that. We're going to put it on dimensionals, but I'm going to do it later because you have to sort of gauge how high you want your book to sit up. So the further back you put your little easel foot, the further back your card will sit really high, and if you put it towards the front, your card will sit a bit lower, so to speak. Okay, so we might pop that aside now, and we can bring in the pages of our book. So I haven't folded these, but I'll probably fold the ones you get in your kit. So these are the pages, so there's 4 pages, and they just get gradually smaller and smaller. So what we want to do is grab them individually and fold them in half and score them. Okay, so obviously you've got pages of a book. They fold in the middle at the spine of the book, and that's what we've got there. Now there are a couple of videos on my YouTube channel where I make books with different designs, but it's basically the same cut and same measurements and scoring. So as I say, if you are finding this video a little bit confusing, I suggest you pop back and have a look at one of those. Sorry, this panel here is supposed to be through an embossing folder, so I'm just going to do that now. I wanted to use the Tasteful Textures embossing folder because I think it just adds a bit of extra. So just bear with me, I'm going to pop that through my machine. Hopefully not drop everything. Okay, so yours will be already embossed like that. That was just a bit of me being a bit slack this morning. And again, you're going to have to fold that in half to form the spine. So this one, a bit differently to the other ones other classes that I've done, this is the front page. So instead of designer series paper, we're actually going to use a cardstock at the front, just because I think it highlights these little flowers a lot nicer. So what you do with these books now is you grab something circular, not too skinny circular, but something, this is my spritzer, and you fold the cardstock around it just to give it a slight curve, just like that, a slight curve. It doesn't have to be overdone, it doesn't have to be like circling back on itself completely, but you just want like the wings of a butterfly almost, or the pages of an open book, which is the look we're going for. You need to do that to all 4 pages, or all 4 rectangles. It's like that. Now, when it comes to attaching these, if you're going to be wanting to put this card in an envelope, I suggest you keep the curling to a minimum, because it's going to make it quite thick and it might be difficult to get it in an envelope without squashing it. If you're going to make a little box, I've suggested you make a little box for these cards. It would be absolutely perfect. You can match it with the paper and it would be lovely. I haven't got around to doing that yet, but yeah, if you wanted to keep it as a more 3D effect, I'd suggest probably a little box. Okay, so for this one you're going to need double-sided tape, and you're going to attach your cards together at the spine, or your pages together at the spine with double-sided tape. Okay, so you put one piece of double-sided tape along the spine and then another one. So you're starting with the largest, sorry I should say that, starting with the largest piece of designer series paper is what you're starting with, because we're going to put the 2 big pages together first and then the little pages and then join them together. So you've got double-sided tape on 3 parts, the spine and two edges, and take off the backing. Must be breakfast time. My tummy's rumbling now. Okay, so bringing in our big piece of Whisper Basic White, you line the spines up together and have the same distance top and bottom. then where you've got double-sided tape here, you bring that in to your book, give it a slight curl so it curls a little bit more than the page underneath. Make it nice and straight and force that down as well. So here you are, and as I say, I've got a couple of other videos there if you, oh sorry, you saw the top of my head there, so that they curl sort of a little bit the same as each other. Oh. And you do that same on the other side. I won't bring my head into shot this time. You can see that I need my hair dyed. Bring those together and you glue that, you firm that down as well. So you've got the curves are increasing in curviness as you get up. So let's do that again with the two smaller pages. So we've got the white, the whisper white, the smaller of the two whisper whites, and the soft sea foam. So again, we put on the back of the front page of the two, you pop the three sections of double-sided tape. Might actually just take it from the centre first this time. Okay, you line up the spines and firm it down. Then we're going to take off the two sides. And give it a little bit of an extra curl and firm that down as well. So there you can see it curls a little bit more than the page underneath. And then we're going to do the same. So the way we do, what we achieve here is that the pages seem to curl sort of up and towards you, sort of independently of the page underneath. And this is the point at which, if you wanted to pop it in an envelope, I probably wouldn't get too carried away with that extra curl. Okay, so now we're going to do exactly the same thing. We're going to attach the small two pages to the big pages. So again, double-sided tape down the spine, and then a little bit on either side. Take it off the centre first so we can line our spines up. Same top and bottom. There we are. And then we can take off the last two. Now, I had a dear friend who did one of these based on my design very recently, and she actually didn't attach these last two pages. She just let them go sort of free and loose, and it looked really, really, really good. So just have a bit of an experiment. If you want to leave these sort of loose, it's not a bad thing, it's quite nice. Okay, so there we are. We have our 4 pages there. So you can see they curl sort of independently and away from each other, just like that. I'm noticing these days I actually work a little bit to the left. I shouldn't do that. I sort of move my way out of the centre. So there's our little book, so to speak, all ready to go. So we'll bring back our easel. Keep our foot to the side here. So what we're going to do, the part that we've said was the front, the top of our easel, is what we're going to line up with the top half of our card. So our little book is going to sit just there, just attached on the top half to the top of our easel. And again, we're going to bring in our double-sided tape. And you can introduce a little bit more curl here as well if you want to. But I don't know that we will with this one. So you're going to pop double-sided tape again on the biggest pages, but you're only going to go down to about an inch and a half. Not all the way, because the rest of it's going to sort of swing freely from that top of our easel. Okay, oh, I should have just done the middle one. Oh well, we'll do all three. Let the cards fall where they may. Okay, so bringing that back in. So this is our top of our easel here. Just lining it up with our little book so that you can see a wee bit of the paper around all three edges. There we are. And I've just given that a tiny curl just so that the border around all the top and the sides is the same. As you can see, there's a tiny curl there as well. Okay, I hope that makes sense. As I say, watch this first, come back and do your card. But as I say, I've got several videos, I think 3 now, that feature this card already on my Facebook page and my YouTube channel. Okay, so that's mostly done, sort of curling my thing. What we're going to do is bring in our little foot rest now. We're going to bring in some dimensionals and pop some dimensionals on here. Then decide how high you want your easel to sit. As I say, the further back you put your foot, the more higher your easel is going to be. You bring it more to the front and your easel will rest a bit flatter. I'm going to do it about halfway. Pop it there. And then my little easel card, my open book, won't fall forward. It'll sit just nicely supported there like that. Okay, now the fun bit, we get to bring in all our little flowers and sentiment box. Okay, so I've given you flowers in a few different colours. I've given you flowers in Petal Pink, in Rococo Rose, and a couple in the Seaside Spray. Plus you've got some centres, and they are in So Saffron, so there should be four centres there. And you've got some leaves, various sized leaves, and they are in Soft Sea Foam. There you are. So now you can basically just go a bit crazy. I like to layer these up because they look a little bit plain on their own. So I'm going to try and make 3 flowers out of these by layering from large to small with alternating colours. So I've got a pretty petal pink one there. I'm going to layer that up with, say, maybe a blue. Just like that. And then pop a little centre in the middle. Here we are, there's our first one. And next one I might actually pop sort of this one together with maybe this one. So a Rococo Rose with a petal pink. And again with a little centre there. Okay, so we've got 2 little flowers there. He's not quite in the centre there where he should be. Okay, let's do another one. We might do, can we go 3 with this one? So we'll go that, and then maybe that, and then the blue. Yep, that works. It's quite pretty. We'll go 3 with that one. Go a bit crazy since we've got the spares. We'll go this one with this one, and then pop a blue in the centre. Okay, and then a little So Saffron centre in there as well. Okay, I've got a spare one there. So there's our 3 little flowers that we're going to decorate our book with. Oh, I've got a spare flower as well. Use that if you want on something else, or add it to the cover. the front of this card. Okay, so we're going to decorate our little book. So keep your book flat and we can pop these flowers on. So I'm going to pop, to start with, I'm going to just pop these ones on there. So you have to, obviously you've got a sort of a thinner surface to deal with here because it's a curve. So you actually want to keep your flowers glued to the top of the hill, so to speak. So you might actually be better just to add the glue to the top of the hill and then bring your flower in and put it in place. You may not actually glue to the very center of the flower, it might be off. So in this case I've got the flower over a little bit, so the glue is actually, you can see it's gluing sort of the right hand side of the flower so that the rest of it can sit up a little bit. Hopefully that makes sense. I'll sort of move my finger so you can actually see what I'm talking about. So I've glued there so the rest of the flower sort of waves free sort of thing. Let's see how you go. I'm going to bring this one in. Actually I might bring a nice big one in. I'm going to bring this one in and pop it sort of in there. So again I'm going to pop glue on the hill and put my flower in place where I want it. Okay, we might bring some leaves. I might actually do our sentiment next. So there's our little sentiment box. This is from the pierced blooms as well. This time I'm just going to bring in a plain happy birthday. If I still got it blocked up, yep. Just a plain happy birthday in black. There we are. And again, same sort of principle applies. You're going to bring that in there. So add some glue to the top of the hill and then bring your sentiment in where you want it. Okay, a bit like that. Okay, cool. You like that? Yeah, I think that's really sweet. And we're going to bring in our last flower. I'm going to pop him just down here. Just like that. Now you definitely need to let this dry before you get too carried away, popping it in an envelope, because they are very delicately sort of balanced almost. So you need to let the glue dry before you're pretty rough with it. I'm going to bring in our leaves. I'm just going to pop those in behind like that. You may need to actually pop the glue on the front of the leaf if you're going to attach it to the back of the flower, if that makes sense. And there we are with our little leaves. There, done. Isn't that pretty? That's really, really nice. I like that. So there is our little decorated little book there. And it sits up on our thing. You should also have some some rhinestones with this one as well, so you can pop those around also. Hopefully you can't hear my tummy rumble there. It's very rumbly. I don't know where I want that one. There. Okay, so that's done. There we are. So that's card number 3 of this Fun Fold class. Hopefully you like that one as well. They are something very special. Definitely a sometimes card. I don't know how you'd go giving that, you know, making them in batches of 10 or something. They'd just be really too fiddly for that. But they are a very special card for a very special person. There we are. So it sits up nicely on its little foot there. So as far as where you would write with these cards, I haven't actually done anything for this one. You could pop a little white sentiment box inside there, so you could write in there. Or you could pop a sentiment box on the back there. It really depends where you want to go and how big your sentiment box you want to have. So there you are. So that is our third card for this class. I hope you like that one as well. Yeah, so lovely sort of designs, the 3 cards, and basically, as I say, all you need are your own glue. So you need double-sided tape, glue and dimensionals or foam squares, whatever you use, and your own sentiments and black ink. So this is our 3 cards. Where's the other one gone? Here. There's our 3 cards for today. I wonder if I can get them all in the same picture. That's our 3 cards for this class. As I say, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you will pop in for future classes. I designed both product classes with which feature individual stamp sets. And I also offer from time to time these very special fun fold classes that you basically just get everything you need in the kit and you go for it like that. But anyway, thanks very much for joining me. Thanks for bearing with me for an extra long video, and hopefully, as I say, I'll see you back again one day soon.